god, this thing ripping. This thing pretty bang on or near enough.
Hi guys, welcome back. Yeah, we've been out for a ride, and I think you've gathered I've got a new carburetor on the bike. Now, I think it's fair to say I've been doing a lot of riding lately. That's why we've not been doing much video work. So it's like juggling all the time trying to get things done. And I finally got the touch and go carburetor fitted on the GPX TSE 300, and it rips. It absolutely rips. Now, the last time you probably saw this bike was probably upside down in a quarry somewhere with a bent set of handlebars.
Wrong gear. Yeah, I think so. Can't tell you. Yeah, we are. That's a bent set of bars.
But we've got it fixed up now. New bars on. What else have we got? I think that was it really. We had a few sort of scratch plastics and things, but yeah, it was mainly the handlebars. Oh, and the lever as well. The clutch lever was bent. But yeah, the bike's good. 25 hours on it now, and no problems at all. And what I will say before we start talking about the carburetor, what's on, and I am pretty stoked. The old carburetor which I've taken off, I've got to say, it was good. It was good. It's the cloned PWK 38mm, and I did get this carburetor running really good. In fact, if I put it back on, it'd run really good. There's nothing wrong with this carburetor. Now, you remember I did a fuel comparison test a little while ago with this carburetor, and at that time we had the needle on position number 3 with the clip. I've gone right through from 3 to position 2 when Mark Hosen tested the bike, and he said there was a little bit of choking in sort of the low RPMs, you know, the 1/8 to quarter throttle. So I then went up to position 1 on the needle as well, and it just changed it again. And a couple of guys that rode this bike, one in particular, Carl Venter, he will tell you that there was nothing wrong with this bike. Just check this out.
Hey there, I've got Carl Venter having a go on my GPX. He loves all that stuff, all that slow pivot, wheelie stuff. It's clutch control. Nice. I think he's enjoying it somehow. You like it?
Yeah. Yeah.
It's good, isn't it?
It feels immediately familiar.
Yeah.
Like, the seat is so soft.
Yeah.
No, I like it. Like, it feels like my bike. The engine feels a bit slightly different, but
Because it's carbed.
it's not underpowered, dude. It's like,
There's plenty of power on it.
I popped her on the back wheel. You
Yeah, I watched you, yeah.
rolled all the way up.
The clutch is good.
Yeah, that's nice, man.
You can have a go on it if you want.
No, it's good, man.
It's light, yeah, I told you.
There's fucking nothing wrong with that.
Nothing wrong at all, is there?
Carl, try that. See if you think I can run in and go. That is, seriously.
Yeah.
I'm impressed.
I think a lot of it's the setup with the springs and.
I wish it felt like that the first time I rode it.
Yeah.
Like, you've got it set up.
Bang on.
I love that soft seat.
So that was Carl Venter from Enduro Skills Training in Leatherhead. Having a test ride on my bike with this carburetor on, and like he says there, he was really surprised how manageable it was, the performance of it. One of the things that he did say was this was the type of bike you could ride all day. You could ride it all day and you won't get tired. He said if you want power, the power's there. If you want to just trailer, do your trialsy type stuff, it can do that as well. And as you saw there, Carl doing his wheelie thing, his wheeling, his skids, his clutch control, those are the things that Carl does, what he's really into. Bike control, managing the bike, and he was doing it very easily on this bike. So that just goes to show what this bike is capable of. So why have I gone for the touch and go carburetor? Pretty simple really. I was looking for a bit more fuel efficiency. I was happy with the old carburetor in the final stages of riding it with that needle in position 1. And you know, some people judge fuel consumption by miles, some people judge it by the hours that they're on the bike, because their riding style might be totally different. There might be slower riding style, more trialsy, a hard enduro type riding style, up steep climbs, on switchbacks, that sort of thing. Whereas others might be like single track, 3rd, 4th gear all the time, going, making loads of progress. So it's a lot of anomalies with looking at how, you know, the fuel consumption goes on these bikes really. But towards the end I was quite happy spending 4 hours on it and only using like 6 litres, doing hard enduro, quarry type riding, slow type riding. Yeah, so you know, I was happy where we were with it, to be honest. But I still wanted a little bit more, because I am going to be doing the 24-hour dawn to dusk solo event in August. It's the August bank holiday. So I was thinking, do I go for a different carburetor, a smart carburetor, which is probably going to give 25 to 30% more fuel efficiency, or do I go for a bigger fuel tank? It's a trade-off, isn't it, really? What do you do? So with my experience of the touch and go carburetor on my other GPX, a TSE 250R, so I thought maybe that carburetor would work on this bike. So I contacted the guys at Touch and Go basically to ask that question, and they came back with an offer. If you want a Gen 3 Pro, we'll do you a good discount on it. So here we are, we've got the Gen 3 Pro on the GPX TSE 300 now, and as you've seen, flipping heck, it rips, it really does rip. Now, setting it up was fairly easy. Now my approach to setting this carburetor up was totally different to when I set the Generation 2 carburetor up on my TSE 250. This carburetor is, it can be adjusted without tools, so all you need is your finger and your thumb, and you can adjust everything on it. Power jet, meter rod, fuel assist screw, and the idle screw. With the Gen 2 it was different. You had to keep taking the slide out and adjusting the meter rod with the tool, then putting the slide back in, etc., which was quite time consuming because you can't rotate the carburetor, you've got to lift the subframe every time, etc., etc., etc. It's quite a long, laborious type job. So with this being hands-on from the outside, adjusting it on the fly down the track, it was like a total revelation But the first thing we did was we had to get it on the bike. So the fitting was quite straightforward. The guys supplied a throttle cable. The only thing I did have to source was the quarter action throttle, which I took off my other bike whilst I was waiting for a new throttle housing to come for this particular bike, which has arrived now actually. But it's a nibby quarter action throttle. So installation onto the bike was straightforward as you would fit any other carburetor. So carbs on, throttles on, all good to go. The next thing we had to do was get it running. Now, it won't start to start with. Now what we'll say about this carburetor is quite unique because it doesn't have a standard choke. Look at this one. Now, on all carburetors generally, the standard choke is here. Pull it up for cold starting, get it running, and knock it off. Quite simple. With the touch and go carburetor, it's totally different. It's totally different. Where you would see the standard choke, that is actually blocked off. And what they have is a fuel assist screw. Now the fuel assist screw, I might need that actually. Now the fuel assist screw works a little bit like an air screw. What it does is, if you are turning the screw anti-clockwise, it's allowing more fuel to go in, so it's making the system richer. Obviously if you turn it clockwise, it makes it leaner. But there's two parts to that screw. The outer part is spring loaded, and that is your choke. So you pull it out, turn it half a turn, it locks in place, and that allows more fuel to go in for cold starting. So that is quite a unique little setup there. Very well engineered. They have really put a lot of thought into it. I don't think there's anything else out there. Well, I've not seen anything else like that out there. So we've got the carb on, all set up, getting it started, pulled the fuel assist choke mechanism, and the bike fired up. Got the bike revving, and then knocked the choke off, but it was just like bleh, bleh. Then it was like the revs would pick up, they'd go through the roof, you know, so that told me it was lean. It was really lean. So in the garage, all I've done from the standard setting with the meter rod, I've just dialed the meter rod in a bit richer. Now I ended up going 20 clicks from the stock setting. That's 20 clicks richer to get the bike in a position where the bike would idle nice in the garage. The fuel assist screw was in the 1.5 turns position, and the slide height was probably just fractionally over the recommended setting, which is 2mm. So the next step was taking it down the track today, which we've done, and we've just done 20 miles of ripping around. Okay, and so far in that 20 miles we've just used 3 litres of fuel, which, you know, considering the type of riding it got today, there's a lot of wide open throttle, which I wouldn't normally do anyway riding this bike. So I'm normally riding this bike at places like Werndoon and at Tong, where the bike's ticking over a lot of time, doing lots of downhills, it's crawling up hills. It's never really on wide open throttle. The only time it gets wide open throttle is down the track. So 20 miles on flat out type riding I thought was pretty good. The bike, I mean, to be honest, the carb was nearly fully dialed in when I took it down. All I had to do was, the top end was just lacking a little bit, so when you're on that half throttle to full wide open throttle, it was hitting a bit of a wall. So I've adjusted the power jet, and that's taken that away, so it's now revving clean all the way through. The gearing I've got at the moment is 1250, so it's a little bit low gear for the road, but I'm soon into top gear. So wide open throttle, top gear, it's revving all the way to the top. I did have to fine tune the fuel assist screw as well, and like I say, with the meter rod I think I went 3 more clicks, but where we are at the moment with it, I'm really happy with this carburetor. Really happy. It feels like he wants to lift off. It doesn't really want to lift off, and the idle settles down really well. In, you know, previous experiences with the Gen 2, in the setting up process I had hanging idles, and it was a bit of a nightmare, but really because I didn't understand how it worked. But knowing how that works and using my experience with that and putting it into this carburetor, we've got it pretty much bang on within an hour, less than an hour. So far, first ride out, and had a lot of fun this afternoon in those 20 miles, a right lot of fun. But yeah, so far so good. With the carburetor you do get a booklet as well, which has got quite a lot of useful information, so read it. You must read it if you're going to get one of these carbs. And you know, the sort of important information is relating to the specs. We've got in the booklet here, it tells you what your slide height should be, roughly where your fuel assist screw should be. Now ideally you don't want that fuel assist screw any more than 2 turns out. If you are having to turn your fuel assist screw any more than 2 turns out, then you need to go richer on the rod, shall I say. Yeah, you need to go richer on the meter rod, so you can get that dialed in a bit further. So ideally between somewhere between 1 and 2 turns ideally. And also the power jet, also recommendations for the power jet as well. Again, depending on what type of riding you're doing. If you're using your bike in sand, you might want to turn it up more to get more fuel into that higher rev range, so it acts as a cooling effect as well. So that's my initial impressions of the Generation 3 Pro carburetor from Touch and Go. It rips, it really rips. Well engineered, well thought out, easy to set up, dead easy to set up, and I'm hoping that it's going to be really a lot more fuel efficient than the other carb that I had on. Although, like I said, I was happy with that carb, but I'm hoping that we'll get a bit more fuel consumption out of this. So we've got quite a lot of testing to do. I'll be getting Mark Houston involved again as well. So that's it from me at the moment. Stay tuned. Hard Enduro Adventure Media at Eurotech. See you soon, guys. A bit of a step out there to the side.